Alright, what is going on YouTube? Happy May 1st, and we got a brand new Imaginarium Theater video. And the Imaginarium Theater was pretty gracious to us today. Maybe it's just because I finally have Sheila in. Bless up. But, yeah, it was pretty easy. Today's elements were Geo, Hydro, and Cryo. And you also had Hu Tao available to use, and Kuki. You know the drill. I always try to use the trial characters right away to keep the Imaginarium Theater as authentic as possible. And thankfully, we did not really need Novelette later on. I know that Novelette is one of the best characters in the game right now, especially with Farina, Sheila, and I don't know who else, but with Sheila and Farina, he is pretty freaking good, but you don't really need him later on. There's no big pyro crab boss that requires him to clear in a decent time. Certainly not like some limited time modes we've seen on Genshin in the past. And I had a fun time using him too. Usually I could not care less about some of the trial characters, and I just feel inconvenienced. Which reminds me, we haven't seen Alhaitham in a while. Speaking of characters I don't really care about, but we haven't seen him in a while. I feel like everybody just forgot about him. And he used to be kind of a pretty meta character, and now he's just gone. It's kind of sad. I don't even love Alhaitham, but yeah. I'm going to work my way backwards and tell you guys how all the bosses kind of work, all the acts on this Imaginarium Theater, and give you guys some tips and recommendations. Act 10 is the new Natlan boss, or it isn't new, it's pretty much the first freaking Natlan boss they added, and it's the annoying little three-legged triped ruin thingy-majig that you need a Natlan character's Night Soul Blessing to shred his shield, cripple him, weaken him, and as the title or thumbnail, whichever I put it in, suggests, we did hit an almost 900,000 in-game nuke. No food, like no little buffs of any kind, with Hu Tao against that boss, which is insane. I think the highest Spiral Abyss nuke I ever got with Hu Tao with her ult was like 500,000. We have never gotten a 600,000 plus nuke with her ult ever. So I'm starting to think that pulling for Sheila was not an irrational decision, even though Hoyoverse kind of forced my hand, and I was inappreciative of that on their end. But anyway, you will want your Natlan characters on there, at least one or two. If you have Sheila, then definitely use her. She might be a trial character for this one. No, she's not. But anywho, that one will be a lot easier with Sheila. If not, then definitely just load up on your other Natlan characters that you do have unlocked and pray. Act 9 is pretty easy. Probably one of the easiest Act 9s we've seen on the Imaginarium Theater in a long, long time. You just have to kill 8 Electro Mages, and as long as you have Cryo or even some Geo left in your rotation, shredding their shield and killing them will be very, very easy. Act 8 is the Geo Centaur, so I would advise saving up some of your best Geo characters if you have them built. You know, with this Imaginarium Theater, you're either going to do great or you're going to do awful, because that's just how it is with Geo. You either love Geo and have a great Geo team built, or you just have Zhongli, and that's pretty much it. And Sheila nowadays. But yeah, it's kind of a you got it or you don't got it Imaginarium Theater. And so yeah, I would definitely hope that you do have some Geo characters built, and if so, save them up for that Act 8 Centaur. Right here, they nerfed us. I said this in the last Imaginarium Theater, but they took out the Ruin defense sequence, where you just have to smack the Ruin Guard and then lead him around the whole chamber for like the whole 3 minutes or whatever, which it's a pretty soy method, I will say, but you can save up your best characters, use all of your throwaways, and just lead that Ruin Guard around. It's basically a free pass, a free act off right there. So instead, what I did was I used my freeze characters I didn't care too much about, and just kept perpetually freezing these two little ruin creatures the whole time running the clock. I had to get a little smart with it this time. Had to use some tact. And we just led those things around the room and ran the clock using a different method. On this one, Act 5, this was honestly the hardest one for me. I had to bust out the Mono Geo team super early. Usually I don't have to do that. Actually, I kind of do. I think Act 4 and 5, the one where you have to defend the monolith, and the one where you have to kill a lot of small creatures in a short amount of time, those two are usually the hardest for me because I can't use a throwaway team on them sometimes, and I feel awful about busting out one of my better teams to clear them. Last Imaginarium Theater, I struggled with a lot. Thankfully, Cryo, Hydro, and Geo are 3 elements that I have a lot of good teams built on. So, I busted out the Ito team and didn't regret it too much. I was able to save him up until I needed him again, which was in Act 8. Act 7, I believe, is a kind of, it's not a herald. It's one of those new Natlan kind of fairy things, tall like fairy. And it's the cryo one that bursts out some huge freezing damage against your characters. So I'd recommend just keeping a character that can heal just a little, even just a little bit, and you should be good. And then that one is probably besides Act 10, Act 7 is probably going to be the one where you're going to want to have the most ooga booga damage dealing team, because I feel like that boss has a lot of defense. So I used my Hutao double Hydro against it, saved her up for that one. Act 6. I'm trying to remember what Act 6 is. You're about to see it in a second anyway. Oh, it's those two little, they're Sumeru ones. One's a Scorpion, one's a Phoenix, I believe. Or maybe I'm getting them flipped around. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I am getting them flipped around. So this is that Natlan boss. You're seeing what I'm talking about right now. It's not even a boss. It's just kind of a large-scale opponent. And then after this, you got the Sumeru, Scorpion, and Phoenix. And I just used a freeze team with Ganyu, Ayaka, Mona, and Diona. And that did pretty well. I got it within 2 tries. And honestly, the Ayaka, this was a really fun Imaginarium Theater for me personally. And here's why. Characters like Candace, Ayaka, Eula, and Ganyu are characters I really enjoy using. And I liked building them. I have pretty core Genshin memories for all of them. Like, I accidentally got Ayaka within 10 wishes, trying to get Sayu when she was on her extended banner. She wasn't even supposed to be on there, but since there was like a strike going on in China or whatever, Hoyoverse extended how long Ayaka was in there as the longest banner to date on Genshin. So I accidentally got her and just decided to build her because I was like, one more 5-star that I don't really want. So I built her. When I got Ganyu was the meta. And I got Zhongli. I spent a lot of wishes on getting Zhongli. And then everybody's like, you also need Ganyu. You want to get them together. And so I scoured the map doing quests and opening chests to scrap together free Primo Gems. And it was one of those where it was like, I only had like 200 or 300 Primo Gems. At the end of the day, I had none at the start of the day. Just got Ganyu like randomly within 2 pulls. And Eula, I got within 10 pulls one time because I really wanted to get her because she was super rare back in this was back in 2023. There was not that little chronicled wish, and I didn't know what time she'd be coming back, and I thought physical damage was pretty cool. So I pulled for her, and the meta just completely shifted away from that play style. She was not the best, and she's kind of hard to use. So I really appreciate big important challenges like the Imaginarium Theater. You know, it's not like I'm just going around doing domains and stuff with her. I'm actually doing it in like endgame content using Eula and Ganyu and Ayaka. Ayaka and Ganyu are not in the same boat as Eula whatsoever. I'm not trying to say that, but they're just characters that aren't super duper meta, so I haven't been getting a chance to use anymore, and I appreciated this chance to use them. Same with Candace. I thought she was a super cool character when she came out, but she just didn't really fit into any of my teams. So it was really fun being able to fit each of these into a team that I was able to clear the Imaginarium Theater with. Imaginarium Theater, it's grown on me a lot for that reason. You get to try out a bunch of different teams, and you get to prove the flexibility of all of your character builds. You know, it's not like you just have two teams you're cycling back and forth between, like in the Spiral Abyss. You actually need to have a pretty solid team built, and I can really appreciate that. So now we're just kind of going against this Centaur boss with our Geo team. Zhongli actually is on Gilded Dreams. I'm not even sure how he got on there. I'm going to assume that I don't even know, because, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I probably gave all of his artifacts to Kuki, trying to get her ready for last month's Imaginarium Theater or something in a rush, and just completely, which was last Imaginarium Theater I don't even want to talk about. Electro and Pyro, that elemental reaction, just, it's still something that's not right about it in my opinion, unless you're using like Raiden. But I'm not gonna go there. We're not gonna talk about it. But anyway, Zhongli was on Gilded Dreams that whole time, so I wasn't even getting the Tenacity, the Millilith buff. And oh yeah, right here is the Act 9. Super duper easy, and I had a lot of really good characters completely fresh, so the pacing went awesome in this Imaginarium Theater, which I'm super hyped about. Let me know in the comments down below if you made it this far in the video. Tell me if you think I should pull for Skirk, because I don't know much about her, and I know that she's pretty hyped up, one of the strongest characters in the storyline. I don't know if that carries over to the actual gameplay. I don't know if she's going to be that good. She's not going to be that good. I like to save up. I'd like to just get Raiden C6 and Kujosara C6 and get Red Horn Stone Thrasher for Ito, and also Signora, which has been the big one we've been saving up for. We haven't been very diligent with our saving, I must admit. We've kind of been spending left and right here, getting characters like Mavuika, Sitlali, and Shilanen. To be fair, I didn't have to spend too many Primo Gems to get most of those characters, except for Shilanen. But I think it was a good, smart purchase because they're pretty valuable characters. Alright, right here is the act you've been waiting for, the big Hu Tao nuke, and I wasn't really anticipating having to use Shilanen and Sitlali together, so we're double stacking Hero Ascender City, and I don't know if that's a good idea. It's probably not. I know most artifact sets you don't want to stack them because only one artifact set ends up working, but my mentality was I want to have both of them on Hero of Cinder City, so I have 4 uses of the Hero of Cinder City instead of just 2, because initially I wasn't planning on running them together since Mavuika wasn't a character in this Imaginarium Theater. But I ended up having them both in this last act available, and so I just went for it. And I probably could have done even more damage if Sitlali was on Tenacity of the Millilith and Shilanen was on the Hero Ascender City. Right here, we just see the boom! Pretty freaking sick. That's an in-game PR for me without trying to go for a nuke on like some boss fight or some domain. I've never gotten that much damage in the Imaginarium Theater or the Spiral Abyss before. Got the next couple parts sped up because if I didn't speed them up, this would have been like a 20-minute video, and I know that is pretty that's pretty intimidating to the average Genshin viewer. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to let these builds play out. You can feel free to slow them down if you want to, or pause to view the character builds. Some of the builds I don't even show because I didn't even need to use all my characters. But yeah, good luck on you guys' attempt. Good luck on pulling for potentially Shilinin or the next characters in the banner. I love you guys. God bless you. Peace out. I'll see y'all next time.